Hey guys, it's Nick, and this is episode 2 of the Forgotten Blackhawk series. And this episode is on Viktor Stalberg, a 6th round pick from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and a Stanley Cup champion of the 2013 Hawks. Stalberg is pretty much forgotten because he didn't play many years in a Hawks uniform, but he was a key member of the 2013 roster, and hence why I'm doing this video. Stalberg, he was drafted in the 6th round, 161st overall by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the 2006 NHL draft. And he didn't make his NHL debut until the 2009-2010 season, where he played with the Toronto Maple Leafs, had 40 games played, 9 goals, 5 assists for a total of 14 points on the season. He was only 24 that year, and that was the start of his NHL career. But after that, he did not come back to Toronto. He went to the Chicago Blackhawks to go and play more of a roster spot, because after the 2010 Stanley Cup, the Hawks were pretty much depleted by losing quite a bit of players. We acquired Stalberg in the Chris Versteeg trade. In 2010-2011, the Hawks had Stalberg played 77 games, had 12 goals, 12 assists for a total of 24 points on the season. He was a +2 in the year, and Stalberg played well that year in his second NHL season, and he showed that he could be a good key player on a depth role for the team, where he followed the following season up in the 2011-12 year. He had 79 games played, 22 goals, 21 assists, for a total of 43 points on the year. Another good year by Stalberg for a 6th round pick. It's hard to make it to the NHL, and he made it. It's a good story, going to play more of a key role in a team and helping eventually win a Stanley Cup. But in the second year, he played well enough to prove that he can stay on the team. So in 2012-13, which is the shortened lockout season where the Hawks played 48 games and set a record to start the NHL season off. And that season was a fun one to watch, even though it was shortened to half of a year. And honestly, that was fun to watch because the Hawks set a record. So in 2013... I'm saying that because they did not play a single game in the 2012 half of the year. So in 2013, Viktor Stalberg played all but 1 game in the year. He didn't play the last game of this season against the St. Louis Blues in the 2013 year. He played 47 games, had 9 goals, 14 assists for a total of 23 points. He had a good season for his for a shortened year. He showed up key on shorthanded unit for the Hawks, and he also played well on the power play when they didn't have him on it. Stalberg had a total of 113 shots on the season. I'm going to bring that back up in a second. But he played well for a shortened season, helping the Hawks go to the playoffs, being the first seed, winning the President's Trophy, and here we go. In the first game of the NHL playoffs, the Hawks take on the Minnesota Wild in Game 1 of a 5-game series because the Hawks won it in 5. Viktor Stalberg and Brian Bickle take the puck up to in overtime. Stalberg runs it up, and Bickle right on the wing. Stalberg passes the puck right over to Bixie, and Bickle scores the GWG and OT to get the playoffs off and running for the Chicago Blackhawks. Stalberg had some key moments in that run for the Cup. The Hawks went on to win the Stanley Cup against the Boston Bruins in 6 games, and Stalberg gets to hoist his first and only Stanley Cup of his hockey career. And after the 2013 Stanley Cup, Hawks made some moves, and they did not want to bring back Stalberg, and Stalberg signed with the Nashville Predators. I meant to say that, my bad. He played 70 games that year, had a total of 8 goals, 10 assists for a total of 18 points. Nashville was a team that was pretty bad at that point in their team history, and they did not make the playoffs that often and could not score many goals. The Hawks would beat the Predators quite a bit in that time. So Stalberg lost some point production down in Nashville. So he played his next season with the Nashville Predators and helped the Predators get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, where the Blackhawks would eliminate them in the 2014-15 playoffs in the first round. Stalberg only played 25 games. He had an injured end season. He had 2 goals and 8 assists for a total of 10 points on that entire year. Stalberg had a rough year that year. He got injured. He frankly didn't play much, and he did play in the playoffs, but Hawks eliminated the Predators in a total of 6 games, and the Hawks went on to go win the Stanley Cup, and Stalberg was not part of the team. He was part of the Predators. So he was a free agent again. In 2015-16, the New York Rangers have acquired Viktor Stalberg. He played 75 games that year, so he got back to his game production. He had 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points on the season. So his point production, though, in the years that he played, did fall. So he had a rough year again. But he was then dealt to the Carolina Hurricanes the following year by a trade. He was traded to the Hurricanes and played 57 games, had 9 goals, 3 assists for a total of 12 points on the season with the Hurricanes, but traded once again to the Ottawa Senators, where he played his final NHL team with 18 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, for a total of 4 points on the year. Well, not on the year, because that a combined year with the Hurricanes and Senators. So, Stalberg in total of games played, he had a total of 488 games played, 82 goals, 86 assists for a total of 168 on the year. He was a career -6 for his NHL career, and he would be a good player to have on a team for a depth role, and he proved it himself, helping the Chicago Blackhawks win the 2013 Stanley Cup. He currently still plays hockey, but it's in the it's all the way in Sweden, where he's playing for I honestly can't pronounce their name. But Stalberg, being a team that helped the Hawks win the Stanley Cup, was pretty forgotten about, and I wanted to do a video on him for episode 2 of the Forgotten Blackhawks series. So down in the comments below, I want to hear if you remember Viktor Stalberg. If you think of him as a forgotten Blackhawk, or you think of him as just a depth player that didn't mean much, but he brought some key points to the Chicago Blackhawks run for the Stanley Cup. So in the comments below, I want to hear what you thought about the forgotten Blackhawk, and thank you for watching the broadcast. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and most of all, let's go Hawks!